Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So for today's video this is going to be the fourth and final part of my Doctor Who CD collection series of videos. This time I'm going to be covering Doctors 9, 10 and 11, as well as some other Doctor Who related CDs that I own. So that's going to be like episodes, soundtracks, like the actual music from some of the episodes, not the lost episode soundtracks, as well as like any spin-offs that Big Finish have done over the years and stuff like that. So yeah, with all that out of the way with, let's get on with it. Okay, so we're coming towards the end now. We don't have too many left, mostly just the 10th Doctor now. So here we go. Start off with, hold on a second. I best I'll just drag both of them out at the same time. So we have the Stone Rose. Now this edition, oh, it's a bit ripped. Oh dear. Now this edition actually came with Radio Times, an issue of Radio Times back in 2006, 2007, I think. And it's a audio reading of the book of the same name by and it's read by David Tennant and written by Jacqueline Rayner. Yeah, really good story. And then we have The Resurrection Casket, again another book that has been adapted or read, turned into an audio, and again read by David Tennant, and it's written by Justin Richards. I have very fond nostalgic memories of listening to both of these actually as a kid. And yeah, I still really enjoy them even now. So put them back, then back to Big Finish now with the first story in series 2 of the 10th Doctor Adventures, Infamy of the Zaros by John Dorney. It's an okay story, but bit of a weak one really, if I'm being honest, but still okay. And then we come to The Sword of the Chevalier by Guy Adams. I think this is probably the best one out of this series of 10th Doctor Adventures. Yeah, really like it. And then we have Cold Vengeance by Matt Fitton with the Ice Warriors, or at least an Ice Warrior. Yeah, again, a little bit disappointing, but not too bad. And then we next up have Forever Autumn, written by Mark Morris, and read by Will Thorpe, who played Toby in the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit two-parter. Yeah, I think this is again another 10th Doctor book that has been turned into an audio. But yeah, really good. Again, fond nostalgic memories of that as well. And then we have Pest Control by Peter Angelides, I think that is. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And that is again read by David Tennant. And I think this is actually, it says here an exclusive audio adventure, so I think this is actually made for audio, so not a book that was adapted for audio or turned into an audio or anything like that. Yeah, again, fond memories of that one. And then we have, we have just I think this is empty actually, but here's a double fin that came with the Daily Telegraph back in 2010, I think it is, judging by how it's got the 11th Doctor as well. And this also has supposed to have part 1 of Pest Control, as well as the Runaway Train, which we'll get back to later on. Then we move back to the world of Big Finish with Technophobia by Matt Fitton, the first story in the first series of 10th Doctor Adventures. yeah, really enjoyed this one. Sorry about that. And then we come to Time Reaver by Jenny T. Colgan. Oop. There we go. Yep, pretty good story. And then we have Death and the Queen by James Goss. And we move on to Series 3 now of the 10th Doctor Adventures with No Place, which doesn't just have David Tennant and Catherine Tate, it also has Jacqueline King back as Sylvia Noble and also the late great Bernard Cribbins as Wilfred Mott. We then have One Mile Down, by Jenny T. Colgan again. And then we have The Creeping Death by Roy Gill. I don't think I've listened to any of Series 3 of the 10th Doctor Adventures as of yet. And then we come to Dalek Universe, which I of course alluded to earlier in the 4th Doctor section, with Dalek Universe Volume 1, which features Bind Time, The Wrong Woman, and The House of Kingdom, with Bind Time and The Wrong Woman both being by John Dorney, and The House of Kingdom by Andrew Smith. Heard really good things about Dalek Universe, but I haven't listened to it as of yet. Then we come to Dalek Universe Volume 2, which has Cycle of Destruction by Roy Gill, The Trojan Dalek by John Dorney, and The Lost by Robert Valentine. And yeah, that is the final volume. That is the last volume of Dalek Universe I have right now. I know there's a third and final one, but I haven't got that as of yet. Then we come to another audio version of a 10th Doctor novel, The Eyeless, written by Lance Parkin and read by Russell Tovey, who played Midshipman Alonzo Frame in Voyage of the Damned. Not listened to this one, I don't think, or might have done, but don't remember it that well, can't quite remember. But yeah. Then back to Time Lord Victorious with The Minds of Magnox by Darren Jones, and read by Jacob Dudman, who does the really good impressions of the 10th, 11th, and I think 12th Doctors. Not listened to this one as of yet, but yeah, and I think we've nearly reached the end of the 10th Doctor now. I think, just put that back. Yes, I think this is the last one. Is the 10th Doctor Chronicles, which has got The Taste of Death by Helen Goldwyn, Backtrack by Matthew J. Elliott, Wild Pastures by James Goss, and Last Chance by Guy Adams. And Jacob Dudman narrates them and does the voice for the 10th Doctor. Okay, so we now come on to the 11th Doctor, who I don't really have that many for. In fact, I think I only have 2 here. So we've got The Runaway Train. Again, one of I mentioned it earlier. And this also came with the Daily Telegraph. And yeah, it's another version of that one that I showed you earlier. But it also comes with the first part of Pest Control. And this is read by Matt Smith himself. And then we have The Gemini Contagion by Jason Arnott and read by Mira Siao, who played Nazreen Chowdhury in The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood. And hold on, I don't think I said who did the who wrote The Runaway Train. The Runaway Train was also written by Ollie Smith. Okay, so now we come to a whole load of random audios. So I think a lot of them are multi-Doctor ones or spin-offs or something like that. So we start off with the multi-Doctor ones with another early adventure, Daughter of the Gods by David K. Barnes. This being basically sort of what if Doctor Who had a 5th anniversary in 1968 with the first and second Doctors, and it's really, really good. And then we have the first Out of Time with the 10th and 4th Doctors. I don't have the other two with the 5th and 6th Doctors, but I would like to try and get them at some point. And that is by Matt Fitton. Really enjoyed this. Yeah, Tom Baker and David Tennant are really, really good in this. And then we have Cold Fusion, another novel adaptation, this time of a Virgin Missing adventure, which is also a multi-Doctor story with the 5th and 7th Doctors, and that is by Lance Parkin. And then we come to Big Finish's 50th anniversary special, The Light at the End by Nicholas Briggs, featuring the first 8 Doctors. Was really, really excited for this when it first came out, and still really fond of it now, yeah. And then we come to the complete collection of Destiny of the Doctor. So obviously I already had stories for the 5th and the 8th Doctors that I showed you all earlier, but here is all 11 stories featuring the first 11, well, featuring Doctors 1 to 11, apart from the War Doctor. So you have Hunters of Earth by Nigel Robinson, that's the first Doctor. Shadow of Death by Simon Guerrier, that's the second Doctor. Vengeance of the Stones by Andrew Smith, that's the third. Babel Sphere by Jonathan Morris, that's the fourth. Smoke and Mirrors by Steve Lyons, of course, that's the fifth that I showed you earlier. Trouble in Paradise by Nev Fountain, that's the sixth Doctor. Shockwave by James Swallow, that's the seventh Doctor. Enemy Aliens by Alan Barnes, again I showed you that earlier for the 8th Doctor. Night of the Whisper by Kevin Scott and Mark Wright for the 9th Doctor. Death Steel by Darren Jones for the 10th, and The Time Machine by Matt Fitton for the 11th Doctor. Yeah, so not listened to all of these as of yet. Put that back a bit too far. And then we come to this, Classic Doctors New Monsters Volume 1, the only one of these that I currently have. So we have here Fallen Angels, Jadu in Chains, Harvest of the Sycorax, and the Sontaran Ordeal. And the writers are Fallen Angel. The writers are as follows. So Fallen Angels is by Phil Mulvine. Jadu in Chains is by Simon Bernard and Paul Morris. Harvest of the Sycorax is by James Goss, and the Sontaran Ordeal is by Andrew Smith. And that features the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Doctors. Then we come to another special multi-Doctor story from Big Finish, Doctor Who The Legacy of Time, featuring Doctors 1 to 8 as well as the 10th Doctor, I think. So you have Lies in Ruins by James Goss, The Split Infinitive by John Dorney, The Sacrifice of Joe Grant by Guy Adams, Relative Time by Matt Fitton, The Avenues of Possibility by Jonathan Morris, and Collision Course also by Guy Adams. And I think this was done to celebrate the 20th anniversary back in 2019 of Big Finish getting the rights to do Doctor Who audios, which they started doing in 1999. And then on to spin-offs now. We have The War Master, Volume 1, Only the Goods. It's the only War Master set that I currently have, but I would like to get some more. And that has Beneath the Viscoid by Nicholas Briggs, The Good Master by Janine H. Jones, The Skyman by James Goss, and The Heavenly Paradigm by Guy Adams. All really, really good stories. And yeah, I really like the War Master. And then we have Masterful, which was a special audio done for the 50th anniversary to celebrate 50 years since the Master's first appearance in Terror of the Autons in 1971. I think I previously showed this on another video, might have been a birthday haul or something last year. Yeah, it's all one story, and it's written by James Goss, and it features most incarnations of the Master, at least the ones that most of them that we know of. So you've got Geoffrey Beevers, Mark Gatiss, Michelle Gomez, Derek Jacobi, Alex McQueen, Milo Parker, Eric Roberts, and John Sim making his Big Finish debut, I believe. We then come to the Churchill Years, Volume 1. I haven't got the Volume 2. I think there's another. Yeah, I think there's only 2 volumes of this, but I haven't got that as of yet. But this set contains The Oncoming Storm by Phil Mulvine, Hounded by Alan Barnes, Living History by Justin Richards, and The Chartwell Metamorphosis by Ken Bentley. And that features the 9th, 10th and 11th Doctors all meeting Winston Churchill. And then we have here the Bernie Summerfield audio now, Bernie Summerfield and the Extinction Event. And this is written by Lance Parkin. I believe this is quite an early on CD that Big Finish did, because they originally started off doing Bernie Summerfield audios before doing Doctor Who audios. Although I think this is after they'd started doing Doctor Who ones. So that's it for actual audio dramas, but then we've still got a few CDs left. So let me just get all 3 of these out. So we start off with this Tom Baker sampler CD, which came with issue of SFX magazine back in 2009, I think it is. And this just features various audio clips from various audios that Tom Baker had done up to that point, and some interviews and everything as well. So you got some of the Hornets and the Hornet's Nest stuff. You've got Doctor Who and the Giant Robot. You've got Tom Baker interview for Good Morning Southwest. Doctor Who and the Brain of Morbius. Tom Baker interview for Woman's Hour. Doctor Who and the Pyramids of Mars. An interview for Pete Murray's Open House, Doctor Who and the Creature from the Pit, an interview for Pepper Mill at 1, Doctor Who and the Pescatons, which I talked about earlier, and then an interview where both Douglas Adams and Tom Baker are interviewed for Today, and then Doctor Who Genesis of the Daleks, and then John Culshaw ringing Tom Baker in character as the 4th Doctor, if I remember correctly, for Dead Ringers. Yeah, very interesting thing to have. And then we have the Invasion soundtrack with all the music by Don Harper and special sounds by Brian Hodgson and the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. I got this simply because I just love the Invasion's soundtrack. I mean, it's really iconic soundtrack for a classic Doctor Who story. So yeah, I just really, really like it. So put that one back there for now, and then I'll put more back at the end. And then we have got finally Doctor Who the 50th Anniversary Collection Original Television Soundtrack. This is a collection of various bits of music that were done for the show over the years, all the way from 1963 to 2013. So you've got ones for William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Chris Eccleston, David Tennant and Matt Smith. Yeah, really cool to have this, especially for some of the classic Who classic series soundtracks. Yeah, so let me just pop all of them back. And that is my entire Doctor Who CD collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to press that subscribe button below, and please let me know if you have a Doctor Who CD collection, and like how many you have, what it's like, etc. And I shall see you all in another video. I hope this wasn't too long or boring for you. So until next time, bye bye.